As you were. All right, today we want to, I wanted to follow up with a conversation with a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, who said that I had an obligation to talk about marriages, because of my longevity in a marriage. I actually wrote a manuscript on what couples should do in order to have a successful marriage. I want you to keep in mind that I was born in Nigeria, grew up under the tutelage of that culture. So my thinking and my naturalness is not that of the modernized world. So I'm holding my perspective back. But what I put into the book was a pick me up of different cultures, different things that work. And matter of fact, the only reason my buddy asked me to even speak on marriages is because I'm young looking. I have longevity in a marriage. I mean, me and my sweetheart met in college. 25 years later, I'll be 50, later this year. That's right. Take your vitamins and your minerals, and you can look 50 like this. Because of that, I've been asked to talk about this. Now, what happens is that I get all my information from elders. I watch elders, and whenever I get a problem, I go talk to elders, of course, who are still married, So that's what you can do. And I take everything they say to do, and I go do it. The results, I analyze the results, and I've been able to compile. Hopefully compilate don't mean nothing bad. I got English as a second language. But I've been able to compile what they've said and put it in a book. And unfortunately, every time I wanted to release the book and publish it, I was always on the brink of divorce. Either my lady wanted a divorce or I was ready to divorce. So I said I'm gonna hold the book back because I didn't know publishing it and then probably saying I'm divorced, So that's why it has been the hold up. But the principles in there are sound because, like I said, I get them from elders who are 50 years marriage, 60 years marriage. Even my parents, how many years? They're coming up on an anniversary right now. At least 40 years. So, 30 or 40 years. So the thing is that every time that I wanted to end my marriage, or every time the marriage was wanting to be ended on me, because that's most likely the case, it wasn't me wanting to stop the marriage. It was me doing something that made my sweetheart want to stop. So, but the thing that always binds it back together was communicating. If you notice when you communicate, something brilliant and amazing happens. It's called clarity. You get clarity on a situation so that you are able to more logically, with the use of emotion, more logically though, pull to a safer conclusion for all parties involved, not just for yourself or even your wife, for friends, family that may be looking up to you in your marriage. So, children, right? So that was a thing that I noticed. I said every time when the communication happened, we were able to blend everything back and make things work. So sometimes you communicate and you find out that it's not meant to work because somebody has stepped out of their bounds. As Dr. Dr. Townsend and Dr. Cloud, in the book Boundaries wrote about. They were talking about that you need to set boundaries. So the thing is that I will be, publishing this book probably sometime later in 2015. But, for the meantime, I wanted to definitely, make this as one of the subjects, because I've always shied away from talking about this because, to talk about it, people always want you to pull out all your certificates and all your, trophies and all that other stuff. You can tell by my shirt that I am not a romantic guy at all. I'll tell you right now, for the record, I've probably only brought my sweetheart flowers once or twice in her entire life, in our entire marriage. I probably brought my mother flowers once, and my mom actually told me, don't do this no more. So, not to say that I'm not romantic, or not to say that I don't know how to, make a woman happy. But what I'm saying is that I'm very practical, and like I said, I was raised under the tutelage and the direction of a very militant Nigerian family. So my perspective on things are a little bit skewed. So sometimes sisters may not like what I gotta say, and sometimes brothers may say, brother, punk. But the reality is that I try to give the facts out as plainly as it's worked for me. And when Kevin Hart or any other comedian tells a joke and millions of people are laughing, that means I know that the same thing that makes them laugh will make me laugh. And so something works for me, it's gonna work for millions of other people. It's not just gonna work for me only, it's gonna work for a lot of people across the board. It might not work for everybody, but it's gonna work for a lot of people across the board. So, but communication is the key thing. That's all this video is really about, and kind of to pre-pub that book, for people that are interested, and to hold myself accountable to making sure I go ahead and release it regardless if I get divorced the next day. You see, communication is the key. And in sports, we always had to communicate on the defensive end. Screen left, screen right coming. If you didn't communicate, the defense often breaks down, and that is where things always seem to break down. If you don't, and the marriage is not just husband and wife. It's boss, worker, business to business partner. It's with your children. It's with other relationships that you build throughout your life. You got to set it up, and the communication has to be the focal point. It's not the only ingredient, but it's the focal point. Because if you can't communicate well, be it that we can pick up a lot from body language. We can pick up a lot from, actions and stuff, but we don't know the reason why someone did something. Until you find that out, it's kind of open in the air. It's like a jump ball. So remember to communicate. And what I mean by that is give it a real communication, and try not to. As a matter of fact, I text a Bible verse. I can't get it because my phone is compromised with the camera. You don't like the picture of this. This is iPhone. I don't know. I'm gonna try to do something else, but the scripture I emailed out to a few people was, he that is able to rule his spirit or her spirit is stronger than him that can, than one that can take a city or something like that. I know it's in the 25th chapter of Proverbs, but you got to rule your spirit. You got to come to the table, and no matter how bad something's going to make you upset, you got to be able to weather the storm and go through it. I was watching Sesame Street this morning with my son, and Cookie Monster was trying to get initiated into the prestigious cookie eating club, and they had to nibble on the cookie and control themselves and take and get really accustomed to how the cookie tasted and everything. If you ever watched Sesame, Cookie Monster. So it became a very difficult form until you had to actually sit down and go through the prestigious process. And that's what you need to do at the table, even with difficult, hot-tempered situations that you and your spouse are dealing with. You got to get to the table and have a reasonable conversation. Outcomes in the book, I outline a lot of things that you got to look at to go through it. I know I even wrote in the book, some people are going to look at it and say, this can't work, not in this relationship. And chances are it might not. It depends. But the whole thing behind it is that you got to put forth the effort if you want to work something through. If you don't, then you don't need to be reasonable. Just on to the next and live, whatever kind of life, miserable or whatever it is. So with that, we're going to sign out. Attention, down. You have that obligation to learn to communicate very well, especially with the person that's supposed to be the closest to you, which is your spouse. Now, if they're not working with you, of course, there's a lot of more steps you got to take in order to get to that communication base. But you got to do it, and you got to do it in the right way. So that's that. I'm not going to even give the tentative title of the book because it's a controversial one. Some women have already told me that I won't live long with that title, but I have to go with it because I'm paying homage to one of the guys that really gave me a lot of nuggets when it comes to relationships. So hate it or love it. If you are having problems with communication, sometimes just updating your library might be the way to eradicate that. And if you say, well, I don't got enough time to read, then what you might want to do is also go into sign up for our newsletter. I know you already subscribed to the channel, but subscribe to our newsletter. And, I read a book I try to read more than one book, 3 or 4 books a week, but, sometimes it gets down to just 3. So every 72 hours, I'll email you, a summary and the golden nuggets from the book that you can apply to your life, that I'm applying to my life, and hopefully it's beneficial for you. So get on that newsletter if you haven't. You can do that over at doitdaniels.com, and after that, enjoy your day. Peace.